Live from the Inland Northwest News Leader, Charles Rowe, Mary McDermott, Peter Colford, and Eric Johnson. This is KREM 2 News.
Good evening, everybody. Here's what's new at 11. Uncle Sam is sending prisoners and money to Spokane County.
Under a contract approved by county commissioners tonight, 50 federal prisoners from the District of Columbia will be transferred to the Spokane County Jail in December.
As John Captain reports, the county's glad to be getting bucks for beds.
There are 550 beds in the Spokane County Jail. This week, more than 150 are vacant. The possibility of an overcrowding problem seems so remote, county commissioners are willing to confine and rehabilitate someone else's convicted felons. Actually, the county's been doing that for 2 years.
We need revenue in our jail. The state has pulled out their contract from us. They did contract us to give us state prisoners, and now we don't have that anymore. And we have a new generation type jail that's very expensive to run.
So Spokane County will rent beds at a little more than $60 a day to the District of Columbia, which is under court orders to reduce severe overcrowding in its own prison system. 50 inmates, 1 year. The contract will net the county roughly $1.1 million. County commissioners and Sheriff Larry Erickson say they have no reservations about the inmate transfer. They say it poses no risk of leading to an overcrowding problem in the jail.
Those things are taken in consideration in the contract. So if we can see that we're going to be overcrowded, we can say, let's see, in 6 months, we see that now we're starting to be overcrowded, we're going to have to start talking to the government and move these people out.
The state prisoners now being held at the county jail will be transferred next month. The federal prisoners will arrive at about the same time. As for the arrival of an unexpected $1 million, it comes at a time when the sheriff is requesting more deputies. John Captain, KREM 2 News.
Sheriff Larry Erickson joins us now from our newsroom. Sheriff, what about your request for more deputies? Will this help you get them?
Well, I would hope so. We bringing some additional revenue, as you say, $1.1 million into the county, so we would hope that the commissioners who have control of the funds would take a look at that and grant the request, which I think is minimal.
Are there other motives, Sheriff, besides that of revenue? Is it also perhaps the humanitarian thing to do?
Well, certainly. Some of the prisoners we're going to get from back there are what we call protective custody prisoners, and they've probably testified against other people, and it's very difficult to separate those out. So some of those will be coming here. It'll make it easier for those people, and it will make it easier for those people in D.C. to manage the population they have.
Are these hardcore criminals, Sheriff? And if they are, what about the security?
They're not really hardcore. They'd be classified as medium custody. We have some real hardcore in the jail now that are there doing time for murder, waiting trial on murder, and so on. They're pretty similar to the type of inmates we have in the county jail here in the state. The District of Columbia being under federal jurisdiction, of course, still makes arrests the same as we do for misdemeanors and on up, and so they're not the hardcore criminal that serves time in a federal institution.
Now, you still have about another 100 or so empty beds. Can we expect to see another contract like this one in the near future or not?
I don't believe we will at this time. When this contract is completed, I think that I would not want to take that, because we'll see in the spring our population will rise a certain extent, and I don't want to take the chance that we don't have room for our own, so we will probably not.
Okay, Spokane County Sheriff Larry Erickson, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Good night.
Well, Spokane police have had a series of holdups to deal with in the past several weeks. Now they can add the holdup of 2 apartments to their list. Police are looking for a man who kicked in the doors of 2 apartments at 1014 and 1016 West Frederick tonight. The man had a gun, and the holdup victims say it looked like he was under the influence of drugs or alcohol.
He thought there was more money there than what there was, and he grabbed a couple people and was throwing them around, making it real clear. He put a gun to a couple of people's heads.
The man took another gun from one of the apartments and got away with about $25 in cash. He is described as about 6'4", with sandy, collar-length hair and a mustache, wearing a blue jean jacket and blue jeans.
Police in Sacramento, California are trying to get a warrant to dig for more evidence. They want to dig across the street from a rooming house where 7 bodies were dug up. The bodies of the elderly people were found earlier this month. Sacramento police think the victims were killed for their Social Security checks. The operator of that boarding house has so far been charged with 1 count of murder.
The shooting of a former San Diego police officer in his Stevens County home has prompted a federal grand jury investigation. The state of California is also investigating the shooting. Doyle Wheeler claims he was shot for testifying against another officer in a San Diego murder trial. Stevens County Sheriff's Department's files have been subpoenaed by a federal grand jury in San Diego. Wheeler says he was shot in the head and tortured by 3 men in his home. San Diego police claim Wheeler staged the incident, but Wheeler says he was targeted for retribution by San Diego officers. So far, no arrests have been made.
Quick work by Spokane Valley firefighters saved an unoccupied house this evening. Damage was limited to the kitchen of a single-family dwelling at Boone and Pierce. Passerby noticed the flames and called 111 shortly after 7:30. By 8 o'clock, firefighters had that blaze controlled. There were no injuries. Cause of that fire remains under investigation.
A gasoline tanker accident near Post Falls has left cleanup crews with their hands full tonight. Some 4,500 gallons of fuel spilled when this truck overturned on State Highway 53 this morning. The roadway was closed for several hours until the fear of an explosion had passed. The problem now is getting the spilled gas and diesel cleaned up. The accident happened right on top of the Spokane aquifer, which provides water not only to residents in the Post Falls area, but to the city of Spokane as well.
It doesn't appear we have too many wells in the immediate vicinity, but yet we're still responsible for protecting the underground waters of the state of Idaho, and we have to do everything we can to keep that gasoline from getting out of there.
Sutherland says there is no immediate danger of water contamination, but adds time is important. If they don't dig up the fuel in time, area residents will notice it first. Their water will smell like gasoline. A Kootenai County fire station stands empty tonight. The station has been shut down by the city of Coeur d'Alene because of the possibility of dangerous gases coming from the nearby Kootenai County landfill. The city's mayor says the 2 firefighters at the station near the dump were reassigned, and 6 workers at other city departments near the site will also be relocated. Meantime, a University of Washington professor says the 3 city buildings near the dump should be permanently closed due to the danger. The city hired the professor to assess dangers from the dump where rotting garbage is producing the fumes.
Investigators in Kansas City are searching for clues tonight to what started a fire that triggered a pair of explosions. Barney McCoy reports that ammonium nitrate, the blasts, have left 6 firefighters dead.
The first call came from security guards at the Midtown Freeway construction site. They reported a truck fire, and 3 firefighters from Company 41 responded at 3:45 a.m. When they arrived, they spotted a second fire burning in a construction trailer on top of a bluff above 71 Highway. 3 more firemen from Company 30 this time came to fight that blaze. Minutes later, at 4 o'clock, they were joined by the Company 41 firefighters. Inside the burning construction trailer was 30,000 pounds of explosive ammonium nitrate.
But at that time, we don't believe that the companies knew that they were going actually to one of the areas that did contain explosives in it.
Minutes after 4 o'clock, the ammonium nitrate in the burning trailer exploded. Emergency backup crews came rushing to the area, but were turned back by a second powerful blast at 4:50 a.m. Concerned that more explosives could follow, helicopters surveyed the scene from the air.
How close are you getting the crews to the scene of the explosion? They're flying over the area and shining lights down on it, trying to determine if there is anyone alive down there.
At daybreak, firemen and family members who feared the worst but still didn't know the explosion's outcome waited again for a helicopter to fly above the scene. What they saw was a scene of utter desolation. Both fire company pumper trucks were destroyed, one beyond recognition. A 40-foot wide crater spanned the smoldering fire scene. All 6 firefighters who unknowingly battled the explosives died in the powerful blast. Their lives were lost in a second's tragic flash. Tonight, the cause and suspicious origins of that fire and subsequent explosion are still under investigation. I'm Barney McCoy in Kansas City, Missouri for CBS News.
And when we come back, a new face is picked to lead the Democratic majority in the U.S. Senate.
And closer to home, some unwelcome guests are taking up residence in Puget Sound. Why sea lions are not welcome, next.
Even the hottest deal won't melt the snow. So come on inside to the largest indoor showroom in America, Wendell Ford, Nissan, Isuzu. Be warm and dry while choosing between over 500 new cars and trucks. And remember, Wendell's incredible volume buying power means you save money. You'll be so excited about Wendell's selection, you'll want to test drive the car of your choice. But please wait till you're outside. Don't get caught in the cold. Shop in comfort at Wendell Ford, Nissan, Isuzu, division at Wellesley, Spokane.
When Spokane's First National Bank opened for business in 1882, the population of Spokane Falls was scarcely over 1,000. But Spokane was already a friendly city, welcoming newcomers and travelers alike. First National Bank's tradition of friendly service started way back then, and it's still going strong today. People committed to doing their best for you. People who brighten your day. The people of Spokane's First National Bank. First and friendly service for over 100 years.
In the beginning, frozen dinners didn't taste all that good and weren't all that good for you. Then came entrees that were better tasting, but still not all that good for you. Now enjoy good taste that's good for you. Eating right. Deliciously gourmet entrees with all the flavor you live for and without all the calories, sodium, fat, and cholesterol you can live without. Eating right. Good taste can be good for you.
For the first time ever,
Oldsmobile announces up to $1,500 cash rebates during a new model introduction.
In 1989, Oldsmobile starting from only $94.95 with $500 rebate.
Cutlass Calais Quad 4.
Now with $750 cash back.
Redesigned Cutlass Sierra, Cutlass Supreme.
Now with $500 cash back.
Or get a closeout deal on remaining 1988 Oldsmobiles in stock.
Plus get up to $1,500 cash back.
Or use low 3.9% APR GMAC financing.
Price.
Financing.
Selection.
Now at your Inland Northwest Oldsmobile dealers.
A busy day today in Washington, D.C. Senate Democrats selected their leader. That person is George Mitchell from Maine. He turned aside challenges from Senator Inouye of Hawaii and Senator Johnson of Louisiana. Outgoing Majority Leader Robert Byrd passed the gavel to Mitchell. Mitchell was elected in the second vote after he fell short of receiving a majority in the first. For Senate Republicans, it was a bit easier to pick their leader. Robert Dole will again wear the title of Minority Leader in the new Congress. Dole spent time at a meeting discussing the federal deficit. Other Republican Senate leaders were there, along with Dole's former political rival, President-elect George Bush.
More than 2,000 miners gathering in Spokane this week have some good news to discuss. The event is the 94th Northwest Mining Association Convention. It comes at a time when increased silver prices have prompted the reopening of the North Idaho mines. But as mining activity picks up, there's one drawback. Many experienced miners have left the area.
We're beginning to see the pool of good, qualified hard rock miners drying up to some extent. And we're also seeing our technical people become harder and harder to find. Good engineers, geologists. The industry's changing, and with the upswing, it's gradually becoming more difficult to find good, experienced people.
In addition to higher silver and gold prices, the mining industry is being bolstered by increasing prices for base metals such as copper, lead, and zinc. There's speculation that continued improvement could lead to reopening of the Ponderay mine in northeastern Washington.
The head of the U.S. Bureau of Mines says he will fight for the miners in our area. T.S. Airy told a news conference he believes his job is to act as a strong advocate for the mining industry. As part of that, Airy opposes wilderness land and says all such land should be open to multiple use, including mining. Airy says he's afraid environmental concerns may slow development of the reported 2 million-ounce gold find near Salmon, Idaho.
Yes, I am afraid that they can be and probably will be. The Bureau will speak out against just a harassment or a nuisance type of an approach.
Airy says he believes miners have contributed significantly to protecting the environment. However, he says they need to watch out for environmental laws that could cripple the industry.
2 million ounces of gold found near Salmon, Idaho.
Amazing, huh?
More to do in those hills than just ski down them.
I know. I was by there about a month ago, and I didn't see anything.
You're tough luck, huh?
I guess so. Not a very good eye when it comes to gold digging.
you have your shovel with you?
I did, as a matter of fact, Charles, yeah. We were on a little prospecting expedition. Did you believe that? All right, fine. A little bit of fog out there, but all things considered, I think we're looking at some nice weather for the end of November. Back with the forecast in just a moment.
You're the one they depend on to see it through. In this world it all counts and they're counting on you. Show that world some sign. You've been waiting for this time to come, and you know that time is here. You're living in real time. Seco time. Living in real time. Seco time.
Available now at Zales Jewelers.
Here are some money-saving holiday tips from the lottery. Instead of expensive gifts, give stocking stuffer lottery tickets. And rather than buy a tree you'll have to throw away in a couple of weeks...
Happier holidays from the Washington State Lottery.
Oh, take a chance and pick all six. It could make you very rich.
Play Lotto. After all, some lucky dog's gonna win it.
I never looked at professional football as a popularity contest. I look at it as my job. I don't care that my opponents like me. I care that they respect me, though.
Come on! Some people like to play rougher than others. For them, we offer the Nissan Pathfinder and hard body truck, and a free NFL Tough Guys video with a Pathfinder or hard body test drive. See your nearest Nissan dealer if you think you're ready to play.
Mr. Scrooge just loves a bargain. Like this holiday meal deal from Kentucky Fried Chicken for just $10.99.
What a deal.
10 pieces of finger-licking good chicken.
What a deal.
4 buttermilk biscuits, lots of mashed potatoes and gravy, all that fresh coleslaw, all for just $10.99.
What a deal.
For a limited time only.
I knew there had to be a catch.
Get the $10.99 holiday meal deal.
Well, after a very, very big beginning to the month of November in terms of storminess, we're now beginning to see a little bit of break in the inclement weather, at least for a couple of days, so it looks like November will go out a little bit more lamb-like than it came in, and this certainly would be the place I would prefer to be on a night like this. Nice fire going in the fireplace, but that creates its own set of problems when we get high pressure in the inland northwest in the wintertime, and we're talking about those nasty inversions. I don't think this one's going to be all that bad. We're just going to get a little taste of fog as we're seeing it right now. Otherwise, skies are fair with a few high clouds. That's actually working to inhibit the formation of that fog. The temperature and dew point are at 29, and the relative humidity is at 100%, and the winds out of that nasty easterly direction at about 6 miles per hour. Barometer 30.56. It is rising. The relative humidity, as I mentioned, as much as you can get. Precipitation, nothing in the last 24 hours. So we continue our total at 4.35 inches, which is more than 2 inches better than normal for a normal month of November. Temperatures, they're just about normal, 25 and 37. And the records, excuse me, 8 below zero in 1896, 59 that occurred back in 1907. And we'll check in on the surface conditions, which are very, very quiet. There's the ridge of high pressure. Again, a flat ridge. That will allow a little bit of moisture to flip in over the top of it over the next couple of days. But outside of a few high clouds and, of course, that persistent ground fog, things are going to be basically on the very quiet side. Now, along with this flat ridge of high pressure, a westerly flow developing in the upper levels of the atmosphere, and that potentially could bring us some warmer weather, and I'm talking about 5 to 10 degrees above normal, a possibility, the big if being how quickly can we burn that fog off the surface. I think we'll do it. Come tomorrow afternoon, we'll see lots of sunshine and potentially temperatures in the mid-40s. Some locations, the usual warm spots, getting up into the lower 50s. In the other direction, nothing to worry about there. There's the Arctic front. That's sagging southward, but well out over central Saskatchewan right now, so we're not looking for any invasion of Arctic air over the next couple of days. We'll take a look at the temperatures today. Here's the 50s already showing up in Yakima as far as the Tri-Cities, 51. Temperatures in the northeast and the north-central portion of the state still a little bit on the chilly side. They didn't quite burn off that cloud cover as quickly as they did down to the south. And temperatures on the west side rebounding somewhat. Lower 50s the rule over there as well. The rest of the nation, no records to report about. but a little bit of a rebound. We told you Tallahassee, Florida, setting a record low of 27. Frost and freeze very common across the northern sections of Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and both of the Carolinas as that cold air swept southward in the wake of those tornadoes that we told you about yesterday down that portion of the world. The rest of the West looking pretty normal for this time of year. 30's the rule through the Intermountain region right on up to the Canadian border, with 80s over the desert southwest. But with that high pressure building in at the surface, the Santa Ana winds blowing down in California at the tune of 60 miles per hour. And as we take a look at the latest satellite photograph, still a little bit of cloudiness, most of it high, thin clouds filtering over the top of that ridge. You can see it just over northeastern Washington right now. Otherwise, a lot of fog beginning to form at the surface in some of the lower valley locations, as you might suspect with high pressure. But look offshore, and you can see that we've got at least a day of this to live through. Fine weather headed our way. We'll put this satellite map into motion for you now, and as we do, you can see the circulation a little bit further out. There's the ridge right around in here, and there's the circulation over the top of it. No snow reported in any of those clouds, so we're not expecting anything in the way of inclement weather headed our way. The forecast then goes like this for tonight. That fog will begin to form, but call it patchy fog until later this evening. Could lead to a few travel problems tomorrow morning in terms of low visibility, both on the roads and out at the airport. Low of 25 tonight, and light and variable winds tomorrow. After that fog burns off, mostly sunny. We'll be optimistic and look for a high of 45 with the brief afternoon sunshine. Another cold night tomorrow. And then by Thursday, looks like we'll get clipped by a very, very weak system passing to the north. So for increasing high clouds, maybe a flurry or two. Friday and Saturday, morning fog, partly sunny. Temperatures above normal, upper 40s to potentially lower 50s, which isn't too shabby for the beginning of December.
Sounds pretty good to me. Thank you, Peter.
Have you ever noticed how many times Eric Johnson changes clothes in the course of a day?
Why is that?
Yeah.
Comes to work in something, changes something else for the club, then something snazzy for the 11 o'clock newscast.
You gotta go with the feeling.
Well, you got it,
It's
pal.
a gray kind of night. It was a gray kind of night for the WSU basketball team. I'll tell you about that after this.
Christmas bonus? Bah!
No, Uncle. Your Hyundai dealer wants to give you a Christmas bonus, up to $500.
Humbug.
Sometimes you've got to rattle the old boy's chain.
Out of the way, boy!
For a limited time, you can get up to $500 off a new Hyundai Excel. Even apply it to your down payment, but you've got to hurry in.
Why didn't you tell me sooner, you little dickens?
Save up to $500 with factory-to-dealer incentives at your Hyundai dealer. But hurry, time is limited.
In the beginning, frozen dinners didn't taste all that good and weren't all that good for you. Then came entrees that were better tasting, but still not all that good for you. Now enjoy good taste that's good for you. Eating right, deliciously gourmet entrees with all the flavor you live for, and without all the calories, sodium, fat, and cholesterol you can live without. Eating right, good taste can be good for you.
This is big! Save a big 30% on sweaters for the whole family during Shopko's Christmas sale. A wide selection for men and ladies, boys and girls, even toddlers.
A big 30% off!
Select from hand knits, cable knits, mock turtlenecks in all your favorite colors and patterns.
And they're 30% off.
So hurry to Shopko now because this sale is really big.
Happy holidays to you from Shopko.
The drive is on. Mazda's year-end sales drive. It's already the biggest sales year in Mazda's history, but your Mazda dealer wants to end it on an even higher note with special incentives that can save you hundreds on the world's #1 selling sports car, Mazda RX-7. Get to your Mazda dealer's year-end sales drive and drive one home today. The year-end sales drive ends soon. See your local Mazda dealer now.
Now, the college basketball courts tonight saw the annual Battle of the Palouse. Washington State traveling 8 miles to play the Idaho Vandals. Good game. Remember, these two teams didn't get a chance to play each other in that Northwest Classic this past weekend. First time they're playing each other tonight. Kermit Davis watching his Vandals, and he saw a low-scoring game. Plays like this one didn't help much. The alley-oop to Raymond Brown goes astray. There's a mistake for you. At the other end, WSU's Brian Quinnett here going inside to the baseline, 35-33. Idaho led. Folks, this was in the second half. Not much scoring. Cougs fighting the Vandal zone here to Darrell Woods. He buries it for 2 points. But the story of the game was the Vandals' defense, which forced lousy shots like this one all night long. Nothing doing on offense for Idaho. Other end, watch Mauro Gomez go uncontested to the baseline. Somebody's got to pick that guy up. An easy 2 points, 37-36, Idaho led. WSU had their defensive moments as well. First a block here from David Sanders, then a big rejection from Brian Wright. Down at the other end, a running jumper from David Sanders to make it 38-37, Washington State with the lead. But after that, Idaho took charge. The final 50-40, Idaho comes up winners. The Vandals, they're going to be tough all season long. Other scores in the college game. Eastern beating Whitworth, breaking an 11-game losing streak. That's the longest in the history of the school. Illinois State beating Metro State. Iowa winners tonight, as were 14th ranked Florida State. One other note, the Eastern women beat NC State tonight as well. In the NBA tonight, it was the Seattle Supersonics being paid a visit by John Stockton and the Utah Jazz. Always a good contest. Frank Layden watching on from the sidelines. Stockton coming up here. Nice play here. He goes to Karl Malone. Michael Cage gets called for the foul as Malone puts it in. But then watch down at the other end. It's the X-Man. The reverse dunk coming up here, and he nails that thing home. And then a dandy sequence coming up here. It's going to be Ellis to Treat to Reynolds for the dunk. And that's a nice play. Then watch what Jerry Reynolds does. He steals the inbounds pass, puts it up and in for another 2 points. Down at the other end, the fans in Seattle going absolutely nuts. Down at the other end, it's Reynolds with another steal to Sedell Treat. He takes it in for the slammeroonie. The final here, 109-102. The Sonics pick up a big win. In other action, the NBA's new franchises met for the first time tonight. The Miami Heat looking for their first ever win. It was Rex Chapman and the Charlotte Hornets that came up the winners tonight. That was Rex Chapman you saw scoring there. The Heat scores here. Cummins on the jump shot. But then watch the Hornet break coming up. It's going to be Chapman on the end of this. He's going to go back to Muggsy Bogues, who's now playing for the Hornets. Bogues goes back to Chapman. He puts it in the final 99-84. The Heat has yet to win a game in this, their initial season. Other games in the NBA. Boston winners tonight. Atlanta over San Antonio. Indiana beating Detroit. Milwaukee winners over Portland. Phoenix 124-107 winners over the Rockets. Denver beats New York. Golden State over Chicago tonight, and Sacramento beating the LA Clippers 123-95. The Spokane Chiefs today made one of those moves that you had to figure would be made sooner or later the way things have been going. They announced that Corey Sundstrom has been released, and he has been replaced in the lineup by Dean Sexsmith, who played last year with both Saskatoon and Seattle. Now, Sundstrom wasn't playing well this year after not showing up for camp this season. He was one of 3 20-year-olds on the Chiefs, and his release was an outright one. No trade was made. Dean Sexsmith is a New York Islander draft choice taking his place. He is also a 20-year-old. He played effectively for Saskatoon and Seattle last year, scoring 60 points. He's a center from Manitoba, and also set to join the Chiefs on Thursday is 16-year-old Dennis Sarachuk from Williams Lake, British Columbia. In the NHL, Pittsburgh Penguins star Mario Lemieux signed a contract today that puts him right back into Gretzky's financial league. The new pact puts him at around, $2 million a year, which is about what the great one gets. Well, you know, you got to keep up with the Joneses and the Gretzkys these days. Lemieux was making $600,000 a year before the contract. Mario's doing just fine for himself, isn't he? And then the NHL tonight, it was the Bruins against the Flyers. Bad night for ex-Oiler goalie Andy Moog. Mike Bullard scores here for Philly. And then watch, again, a little bit later, it's going to be a wrist shot from clear back at the blue line from Tim Kerr. Watch this. Just wrist this baby in. Moog doesn't have a chance. The final here, 5-1 for Philadelphia. Other scores in the NHL. Washington winners, Detroit winners. The Rangers beat Winnipeg, Minnesota over Chicago. Calgary and Vancouver play to a tie, and Los Angeles 9-3 winners over New Jersey. And the Kings continue to roll.
Okay. Finally tonight, the staff will decide tomorrow whether to allow steelhead fishing in the Lake Washington water system. It seems last year more than half the steelhead run was gobbled up by hungry and numerous sea lions at Ballard Locks, and we're going to take a look at them here any second. Some officials think fishing should not be allowed this year to give more steelhead a chance to spawn upstream. State and federal agencies are still trying to decide how to discourage the sea lions from eating the fish at the locks. Options include trapping and moving the sea lions to using rubber bullets, perhaps, to scare them away.
Seems a little harsh. That does it for us tonight. Good night.
Good night. See you tomorrow.
It's the cereal, the Almond Delight. We took the almonds and the flakes and we mixed them both up. We took the almonds and the flakes and we shook them both up. You get the Almond Delight when you taste them both together. Almonds and the flakes, that makes it taste better. Ooh, Almond Delight. the sweet, it's the almond delight. The healthy thing to eat, it's the best, it's the best, it's the best.
For the first time ever.
Oldsmobile announces up to $1,500 cash rebates during a new model introduction.
In 1989, Oldsmobile starting from only $94.95 with $500 rebate.
Cutlass Calais Quad 4.
Now with $750 cash back.
Redesigned Cutlass Sierra, Cutlass Supreme.
Now with $500 cash
Or
back.
get a closeout deal on remaining 1988 Oldsmobiles in stock.
Plus get up to $1,500 cash back.
Or use low 3.9% APR GMAC financing.
Price.
Financing.
Selection.
Now at your Inland Northwest Oldsmobile dealers.
They can go home and then you can walk right in the door with a big wad of gum in their mouth, or run in with a toothpaste bottle, walk right by and go to bed and say, heck, good night.
Quit hiding it. Call the Deaconess Chemical Dependency Units. Call now.
Should've used Chinette. Chinette. No leaks, no drips, no disasters. It's the next best thing to China.